The question of a business license requirement for landlords is still up in the air. Council was given the chance to repeal a bylaw that would see that requirement. Instead, Council has opted to postpone that decision another 3 weeks.
As it stands today, any rental property with 3 or more units is required to have a business license. A proposed bylaw would have required any and all rental units to have such a license, but a notice of motion was put forward by Councillor Frank Everett to give the plan a second glance.
Well, maybe we should look at what was wrong with it. In my mind, I thought, well, maybe there was some merit to that. And in hindsight, I changed my mind on that, and when we got to the notice of motion, and said, no, there won't be anything that will deal with a whole lot of those issues, so we should just repeal the bylaw.
That was the question on the table, to repeal or not repeal the bylaw. For those in favour of a business license requirement, the idea is to gather a better idea of which properties are safe and which are not.
There are some rental properties that have those same kinds of challenges. There's good landlords and there's bad ones. We're trying to even the playing field, and we recognize we've got to make some improvements. So ultimately, Council agreed. Again, they've changed their mind from rescinding. Now they're prepared to actually see staff do the work that they were already doing.
Mayor Sherry Green says when the bylaw was first passed this summer, there were some flaws that came to light. Personally, she'd like to see a fee of less than the current $155, but that's not all.
The nonprofit sector is really where everybody missed it, frankly, and that's why I really want to see this corrected, because we have a number of rental housing units that nonprofits run that make available for low-income families. So we don't want them to have to pay that same rate. It's much more onerous for them than it is for somebody who operates it as their own kind of a business.
Staff at City Hall will now come back with some different options for Council to consider, such as the lower fee for nonprofits or graduated rates for apartment buildings based on the number of units.
When we get all of the information, will we still have first and second reading available to us, and what other options? So at the end of the day, on June the 9th, when we get to final reading, we can repeal the bylaw, if that's what the majority say, or we can look at the options and implement one or two of them without having to wait for another extended period of time.
There is also a financial price tag attached to whatever decision Council makes. With the original bylaw, development services estimated and budgeted for revenues to the tune of $450,000. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.